So when we look at the keg, there's a couple aspects to it to take note. So obviously you have the two posts as well as the center pressure relief valve. So let's completely disassemble this keg. You know, just looking at the lid, you have your seal, which over time, you know, can get damaged and need to be replaced. If it does, that's easily replaceable. And then the other aspect is this pressure relief valve, which simply unscrews. So that's a place to note. If you ever hear hissing, you may just need to grab the O-ring and give it a few twists to tighten it down to make sure it's in place. Because then pulling it up is how you release pressure out of the keg. This pressure relief valve also has a small O-ring at the very end, which is also replaceable. All right, so looking at the keg, you now have the lid removed. Here's your empty keg, and you have the two posts. These posts are also removable with a simple pair of pliers or the appropriate size wrench. Give it a few twists. So if you ever notice hissing at this point or anything leaking, this could be simply needed to be tightened down. So the way this works is when you, come on, get out of there. There is another spring and the O-ring sitting inside that is depressed when you attach the gray or black connector. So that also has an O-ring, and the top of the post has an O-ring. Lastly, inside, this is the tube going all the way down to the bottom of the keg. So this is where the beer comes up out of. And again, it also has an O-ring at the very bottom, going in between it and this metal piece, which is welded onto the keg. Same goes for the other side. Giving that a few twists. And one thing of note, they may look very similar, but the neck on either side is slightly different, so don't get them interchanged. The shorter neck is the in, the wider neck is the out. Also has a spring and O-ring set inside, and this just has a much smaller tube because this is your CO2 going into the top of the keg. So this is a fully disassembled keg. These pieces are actually welded on. All right, so now that it's fully disassembled and you've seen all the components, putting it back together is just the reverse. So you put your two posts back in, you've got your springs with the O-rings on top, and then your posts go right over top. And when you do, make sure that it lines up in the top and it's not pushed to the side or, you know, out of position, because that has to be straight. So yeah, it has to be in the center of that. Like, I've seen a couple times it get caught on the side or, you know, a little off. So that is one possible issue to be addressed. But again, just using a wrench or a pair of pliers, get that set in the keg. This has been completely taken apart. Theoretically, if you were changing the O-rings, you could have changed all the O-rings, and is back together, ready to go.